are Patrick Montgomery, are P. Martian, Daniel Guerrero, and Jonathan Sorensen. And we'll start with opening statements from Mr. Montgomery. I think we're having a technical problem.
Yes, technology can provide such problems. Okay. Here we go. Good evening, everyone. My name is Patrick Montgomery, also known as P. Martian. I am running for mayor for this year's election. And 28th of October will be the mark of my 8th year being a resident of San Marcos. Since that time, I have been an activist in this community, participating in various planning, zoning, and city council meetings in efforts to be better informed of the issues as I grow and evolve as a member of this community. With a unique perspective as a musician as well as a real estate agent, I have surmised from my observation as well as the participation that one thing is very clear at this moment is that we as citizens are persona non grata in the current growth and development of San Marcos. Texas State students are the cash cow of this perceived growth. Our economic leaders currently are boasting that, such as the Greater San Marcos Partnership is boasting a Texas-sized lie that San Marcos is the fastest growing city in the nation, with currently no other form of economy established for the town outside the existence of the university. I believe there's a smarter way of making that growth beneficial for the citizens as well. But currently, our quality of life is being sold in the name of this perceived growth in order to maximize profit margins for developers and the expansion of the university's growth at our expense. This agenda has been brokered by real estate professionals and our elected city officials, and it is my intention to bring this to light tonight. I'd like to bring your attention to the city charter. The city charter mandates that our elected officials have vowed to protect and safeguard our quality of life, neighborhood integrity being number one. And with the current spot zoning issues that have happened over the past, 4 or 5 years, Bowie Tract, let's see, we've got the retreat, we have our current problem child, Kate's Camp, has come into the forefront. Back in September, the construction workers of that particular development struck a sewage line that poured 15,000 gallons, or almost poured 15,000 gallons into our crystal clear water. And I want to point out that those developments such as that has been supported by our current mayor, and I would like to change that if you elect me as your mayor.
Mr. Guerrero.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this debate. My name is Daniel Guerrero. I currently serve each and every one of you as the mayor of San Marcos, and I've done so for the past 4 years, and I've certainly appreciated the opportunity to be able to serve my hometown community. San Marcos is my home. I've been a lifelong resident of this community, graduated from San Marcos High School, graduated from Texas State University, and felt a calling early in 2004 to be able to continue service to my hometown. Over the last 10 years, we've worked together with various colleagues, with a number of regional partners, to be able to build relationships that would have assisted us in being able to generate new job opportunities for our community, to improve our transportation infrastructure, our water and wastewater infrastructure, and a desire to be able to bring new opportunities to our community. Over the last 4 years as mayor, we've been able to enhance our relationships with our public school district, with Casey County, with Texas State University, and with a number of our communities to our north and south to help work regionally to identify and utilize the assets that we have from our natural beauty, to our workforce, to the pride that we have in our community to bring new jobs to San Marcos. One of the things I feel as though has been one of my greatest assets as mayor is the development of the relationships that we've had not only here in our community, but also reaching out to Austin, reaching out to Washington, D.C., and building relationships with our elected officials at those levels as well, and continuing to work with our neighbors to the north and south to be able to work together to make sure that we're providing for all of our community members. I certainly hope that I'll have an opportunity to meet with each and every one of you to answer your questions and to be able to provide you with clear answers to issues that are facing our community. Thank you again for the opportunity to be able to be here.
Mr. Sorensen.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting tonight's debate, and thank you all for being here. My name is Jonathan Sorensen, and I'm running for mayor. About 17 years ago, my family relocated to San Marcos. And while they worked day and night to provide for me and my siblings, it was this community that raised us. It was my teachers, it was the members of my church, it was my neighbors that taught me to fight for the things that I love, but also to give back to my community. After years of hearing about my disappointment in city leadership and the decisions that have been made, it was my parents who finally pushed me over the edge and said, all right, if you can't take it anymore, it is your duty to step up and fix it and serve your community. Mayor Guerrero recently said that he ran for council 10 years ago, not because he was upset, but because it was a calling. Well, I respond to that by saying I'm not necessarily upset. I, like many of our neighbors, we're exhausted. I'm tired of seeing third-party interests put above the community's interest. I'm tired of seeing our neighborhoods under constant attack. I'm tired of seeing my friends, my neighbors, being lied to, being taken advantage of, and being disregarded. Mayor Guerrero often refers to himself as a servant leader, and I'll give credit where credit is due. Mayor Guerrero's service to our community as a volunteer is commendable, and I thank him for that. But we are missing the leader side of that equation. By his own definition, the job of mayor sets agendas and runs meetings. That's not what the voters of San Marcos voted for. They voted for a mayor who's going to step in and hold staff accountable when $100,000 mistakes are made downtown. They voted for a mayor who's going to hold developers accountable when 20,000 gallons of sewage is spilled into our river. And they want a mayor who's going to push city staff to do their jobs. In 2010, when Mayor Guerrero was elected, we were 5 years out of compliance with state law that says we have to update our master plan every 10 years. And it hadn't been done since 1995. And it still took 2 years for that request to be made. The people in this city deserve better. We deserve a leader that we can trust to put our interest above others. My entire career has been in leadership. From when I worked in restaurant management to when I was made the director of a department that managed 10 to 15 people who were 20, 30 years older than I was. And I currently assist in the operation of a healthcare facility that employs anywhere from 60 to 80 employees who live right here in San Marcos. I have the necessary leadership skills and I have the necessary financing and budgeting skills. I'm ready to serve and all I need is your vote. Again, thank you all for being here and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you. Firstly, question for Mr. Montgomery. How would you promote long-term affordable housing for low-income families in San Marcos?
Well, I guess I would build housing that they could afford. Currently, that is an issue that is not being addressed. We have, I think it was mentioned earlier, about 28-30% of the housing here is pretty much the rental market. I'm sorry, the housing market, the residential market, there we go. Whereas 70% of that has to deal with the rental market per se. Most people that come here that want to call San Marcos home, when they move into the other directions of wanting to live here, they cannot find affordable housing. But coincidentally, what I would do is to push people in front of the program that the city of San Marcos provides for first-time home buyers. I believe there's a program where the program covers up to $7,000 of their closing costs,
Thank you
as long as
very
it
much.
meets the requirement.
Mr. Guerrero.
Actually, affordable housing is an issue that we've been working on significantly over a number of years. In fact, we have a wonderful partnership that we've continued to support with Southside Community Center for housing rehabilitation. We also have grant programs through community development block grants that we've been a part of for many years. And over the last couple of years, we've seen significant cuts to those federal dollars, but we've fought diligently. And that's actually a leadership point that I took to Washington, D.C. over the last 2 years to ensure that those cuts were restored. And over the last few years, we've seen shorter funding cuts and actually replenishing of those funds. Over the last few years, we've also worked with our school district to enhance the schools and to develop a partnership to improve out-of-school time programming. We've also developed a recent affordable housing program through the city of San Marcos. In addition to that, when it comes to multifamily housing, the council recently approved new accelerated housing standards. The standards that we have for our multifamily will be even enhanced to ensure that the quality of the materials and the design are going to be suitable for communities.
Mr. Sorensen.
San Marcos is attracting developers from all different types and backgrounds. We're the it spot. People want to build in San Marcos because of our growth, because of our university. So we're attracting fancy, luxurious multifamily. We're attracting places like La Cima, developers who want to build those very nice, very expensive developments. We can also attract the developers who can build affordable homes, who can build affordable developments so that the people in San Marcos who can't afford $200,000, $300,000 houses, but can afford 120 or 130 have that opportunity. So it's got to be the city council taking a proactive stance and trying to attract those types of builders to San Marcos.
Thank you. Rebuttal, Mr. Montgomery?
Yes. The actions that have been shown by our current mayor he may have made moves to bring in multifamily housing, but what he really means is buy the bedroom housing. It's also classified as multifamily. The numerous spot zoning changes that he has approved has actually approved by the bedroom student housing, not multifamily. Show me where you've done that.
Thank you. Next question, Mr. Ferrero. What is your opinion of development over the Edwards Aquifer Recharge Zone?
I think what we've defined within the comprehensive master plan is to ensure that we're looking at development further towards the east of our community. When it comes to Edwards Aquifer, that is an area in which we must protect. We have to ensure that we're protecting our water resources and our river for generations to come. When opportunities do come towards our community that are looking to bring new housing, we need to make sure that we look at those diligently, that we do our best to make sure that we implement appropriate development processes that will protect our river, and to ensure that if we decide to make those adjustments and to see housing around the recharge zone, that all of those elements that will protect our water resources and our river are implemented within those plans and are regulated by not only local ordinances, but also state and federal enforcement as well.
Mr. Sorensen.
Of course, we want to protect what we have. We only have one aquifer. It's only going to be around to provide us sustainable water for a certain amount of time. And so we have to protect it here and now. I absolutely hate seeing things being built over our aquifer. I would like to remind everyone that Lazy Oaks was voted for without any kind of development standards. There was no protection in the agreement. And the council voted on it and approved it. And then when you guys stood up and said, that's not okay, you guys can't just build over our aquifer without telling developers what the rules are, that's when the tone changed. That's when the language in the agreement changed. And that's when the discussion started at the dais. So I would caution any kind of development over the recharge zone, over the aquifer. I would say that we as a city, we as the city council, city staff, have every right to say, all right, developer, you're going to follow these rules or you're not going to develop.
Thank you. Mr. Montgomery.
Well, as Mr. Sorensen has pointed out about Lazy Oaks, which is also known as the SEMA, as our elected officials have patted themselves on the back of a job well done, this development is currently going to be building wastewater and their water systems over the recharge zone. Over it. So San Marcos River, the gem that it is now under the constraints of being polluted or tampered with that type of infrastructure. And how can you say that that is a smart way of providing development to a town that prides itself on the quality of life that it has here. So I'm in complete disagreement with tainting our precious resources such as our river, the Edwards Aquifer.
Thank you. Any rebuttal, Mr. Guerrero?
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate the responses, but what Mr. Sorensen said isn't accurate. There were significant land that was designated specifically for parks to ensure the protection of our water resources in the aquifer. Several of my colleagues worked diligently, not only with the staff, but also with the developers, to ensure that not only was parkland set aside to ensure the protection of those elements, but also that design standards and protective elements for the building of facilities within that area would ensure that the protection of the river that was also regulated by local, state, and federal standards.
Thank you. Okay, and the next question is for Mr. Sorensen. What is your vision of the city in 10 years?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, hopefully, I'll be married and I'll have some kids and I'll live in a neighborhood that doesn't have a 10-story apartment complex 30 feet away from me, and I won't be stuck on Sessom Drive for 45 minutes trying to get 2 miles. I think we all share the same vision. We just want to be able to call San Marcos home. We don't want to be forced out by apartment complexes. We don't want to be forced out by overzealous developers. We want to raise our kids. We want to retire. We want to raise our grandkids without having to worry about those things. Without having to worry about my investment, my home that I spent $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 on, that value being deteriorated because city council and overzealous developers really didn't pay attention to what I said. And so that's a big reason why I'm running for mayor, is because I want to be here. I want to raise my kids here and hopefully retire here.
Thank you. Mr. Montgomery.
Well, hopefully in 10 years that I hope there's a demarcation between San Marcos as a town and Texas State as a university. Current track that we're going on, we're going to look like College Bryan Station. If you're not familiar with that, College Station is on one side of the highway, Bryan's on the other side of the highway. I would like to redirect the growth instead of looking outside of the town to look within the town and grow from that aspect. There should be more of an initiative to jumpstart this economy from within, identifying and utilizing our natural resources and the talent that's been here, whether it's the citizens, whether it's the student body that comes here 8 months out of the year. We're not addressing ways to keep that talent here and having our town, known as San Marcos, to grow from that aspect, not being just one-dimensional.
Thank you. Mr. Guerrero.
I certainly appreciate the question. I think really in essence what it asks is, how are we implementing our comprehensive master plan, since that's our 10-year window? Are we going to be able to enhance and improve our dated transportation infrastructure and our electric and water and wastewater infrastructure as identified within our comprehensive master plan? Certainly enhancing our workforce and working through partnerships with Gary Job Corps, Texas State University, our school districts, to enhance education opportunities and to improve our overall workforce skills. Enhancing those through regional partnerships with the help of the Greater San Marcos Partnership. Enhancing our housing portfolio, diversifying our housing, ensuring that we have housing opportunities for a number of different people throughout various walks of life. And certainly securing the water that we need for both families and for industrial and workforce growth as well.
Thank you. Mr. Sorensen, rebuttal? Okay, let's have the closing remarks, beginning with Mr. Guerrero, I think.
Again, I thank you for the opportunity to be here for this evening's debate. Over the last 10 years, I've worked very hard to do my best to represent everyone here in San Marcos, and that's a daunting task. It certainly is a blessing to be able to listen, to be able to work together, to be able to share. I applaud my opponents here for being here as well, and to all of the folks that are running for office. It's a difficult thing to be able to make yourself vulnerable, but it's also an opportunity for us to demonstrate our skills, to demonstrate our passion, and to ask you for your vote. I've done my best to be of service to my community. I hope to continue that service. And certainly San Marcos is my home. It will always be my home, and I love this community very much. My name is Daniel Guerrero. I currently serve as the mayor of San Marcos, and I'm asking for your vote this coming November. Thank you.
Mr. Sorensen?
As a city, we have a lot of work to do. We have a comprehensive plan we have to implement, we have a growing university, and we have a job market that is dying to be filled with good, high-paying jobs. Mayor Guerrero has said many times in the past that San Marcos needs continuity of leadership, and we tried that. And under this leadership, we've had 3,000 new apartment units and less than 500 new single-family units from 2012 to 2014. Under that same leadership, we've seen a stagnant job market, several small businesses forced to close up shop, and we've seen Texas State grads continue to leave San Marcos. He says he's committed to protecting neighborhood integrity. However, his votes on projects like Capes Camp tell a completely different story. Property owners and neighborhood associations are tired of the lip service, and they deserve a mayor who's going to show his commitment to protect their homes, their investments, and their neighborhoods. This isn't a photo op for me. It's not a job opportunity for me. This is our future, and we all deserve better from City Hall. That's why I'm asking for your vote, so that I can have a chance to show our community what effective leadership looks like and the good that can be achieved when the city is working for the people of San Marcos. Again, my name is Jonathan Sorensen, and I appreciate you being here, and I ask for your vote.
Thank you. Mr. Montgomery?
So, I'm wearing this t-shirt right here. This is a representation of the culture that I believe most of you are unaware of. And these are folks that I love to call San Martians. There's a local sport here called unicycle football. They play every Sunday. I've been doing this for about 7 years now. And it's a great representation to the counterculture of San Marcos. Hence why I put Pink Martian on the ballot in addition to my government given name. And I want to explain a little bit about what a San Martian is, what we are as a community. And people that choose to live in San Marcos choose to live here because of that quality of life that we've all grown accustomed to. We are choosing a healthier existence despite pressures of, commercialization, corporate interest, that kind of thing. You have people that are choosing to bike and to walk around their community as opposed to getting in a car. You have a community here that is into being self-sustaining and permacultures and volunteering their time in protecting the river, the green spaces, the cave systems that are here. And there is growth happening, and it's happening on a conscious level. What you've been witnessing with this by-the-bedroom housing development and spot zoning is unconscionable, especially with the Edward Aquifer example that was brought up earlier today. And that's the voice that is not being recognized and should be recognized. There's no reason why this town shouldn't prosper off of its quality of life and be considered, I don't know, one of the first green cities in the state of Texas.
Thank you very much,
Potential.
Mr. Montgomery. And I thank, let's see, audience questions.
Good evening, Rob Rourke. We've talked about jobs this evening across all of the debates. The Greater San Marcos Partnership gets anywhere from over $300,000 of our tax dollars every year. What would you do to make that organization more transparent and more accountable so that we actually have well-paying jobs so people can afford to live in San Marcos?
Anybody in particular?
All.
All. Mr. Montgomery?
They have a budget of $350,000 to promote and to bring jobs here. And for some reason, jobs has been misinterpreted for development. So growth and development do go hand in hand, but development is like putting the cart way before the horse. We live between two major cities that are in the top 10 of jobs. People move to Austin, 150 people a day. San Antonio is right behind that as well. And I am appalled and surprised that none of that is actually being connected to bring it to San Marcos, which is in the epicenter of the growth of the two fastest growing cities in the country. Transparency.
Thank you very much. Mr. Guerrero.
Mr. Rourke, I appreciate your question. Actually, in the last year, you've seen the Greater San Marcos Partnership take voluntary steps to be more transparent. By separating, they receive both public and private dollars. And over the last 3 years, you've seen a significant increase in private funding that's been received, which has reduced the overall need for the public funding. But they've been able to go ahead and separate those two, and specifically the public funding is used for personnel and operations, whereas the private funding is what is used for both marketing, advertising, and events. Recently, I was just on a call with them the other day. Any materials that you would like to see are available at City Hall. They're also available at the partnership office itself. And if anybody ever has any questions, they're more than welcome to reach out to the staff or to a board member to answer those questions.
Mr. Sorensen.
It's a great question. We give them a lot of money, and it's your money, and we should be able to see exactly where every penny goes. However, whenever I started researching the Greater San Marcos Partnership, it took quite a while to get to those pennies. It's not that it's maybe not purposely buried, but it's pretty difficult to find. We have to make sure that we're getting a return on our investment, because again, it's your money, and it's a lot of money. And if we're not getting an acceptable return on our investment, then we probably need to look other places for development, ideas, maybe partnerships that are more profitable and have a bigger return on the investment. It's our money. So whenever it comes to transparency, it's our money. You're either transparent or you don't get it.
Thank you very much. Next question.
Don Ison, Mr. Guerrero, according to your 8-day
Could
finance
you get a little
report,
closer to the mic?
according to your 8-day finance report, the donors over $100 were 6 in San Marcos, 11 from out of San Marcos. What would you say to those who exhibit a pattern of officials accepting donations from developers who later seek zoning changes when you yourself accepted donations from the SEMA, Hospital Road West, and the Bowie Track?
I'm sorry, who is that directed to?
Mr. Guerrero.
Pardon?
Mr. Guerrero.
Mr. Guerrero.
And I'm not familiar with me receiving any funding from the Bowie Track.
That would be Gordon.
I don't recall receiving anything from Gordon Muir this year. That may have been from a previous campaign. But I mean, but as far as your question in regards to whom I'm receiving funds for, I mean, I receive funds from a number of different people. I've received funds from friends of mine from college that now live in Los Angeles, California. I've received funding from a good friend of mine, family friend from El Paso, Texas. I've received numerous $10, $20, $5 contributions from residents throughout San Marcos as well. So I received a number of different funds throughout my campaign.
Mr. Sorensen, any comment?
I do. I would say that, good job dodging that question, Mayor. You have to be very careful when you're accepting donations, whether it be from your friend from 30 years ago in college. You have to know where that money is coming from, even if it's just to avoid the appearance of some sort of conflict of interest. And that's something that we see too much of in the city. And it's something that we need to stop immediately. For me, I'm getting by just fine with the donations from the people who live in this community, who want to believe in what I'm saying, who believe in me, and want to see me do well. Again, we have to be very careful about the donations that we're accepting as political candidates.
Mr. Montgomery.
Conflict of interest has been the one thing that has been quite transparent when I attend planning, zoning, as well as the city council meetings. So that does not come as a surprise, considering when the decisions fail to match any logical follow through that, that the citizens have mandated through master comp plans that are not being followed. And to circle that back to the Greater San Marcos, the economic Greater San Marcos Partnership, that is also an extreme conflict of interest. I ask each of you to go to their website and check out the board of members, and you will see that our current mayor is on that board with several other elected city officials that are taking the $350,000 that come from the city of San Marcos and doing what with it, we have no idea.
Thank you very much. Next question?
Hi there, Will Taft. Center for Disease Control emails recently uncovered about Freedom of Information Act requests show that CDC officials acknowledge that water fluoridation can be harmful to individuals with kidney problems. If elected or re-elected, and you do nothing to stop fluoridation, are you willing to be held personally liable for the negative health effects that San Marcos residents suffering from kidney problems are sure to experience?
All of them?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Guerrero?
I'm assuming that question was directed primarily to me because I have one kidney. Well, it's interesting that y'all have a tendency to bring that up again. That was brought up during the last debate, and it bothered me significantly that my past health is being used to try to draw a line on issues such as that. As was mentioned earlier, we have every intention of having a good, candid conversation with professionals that have been a part of this conversation for many years. I'm looking forward to being able to work with a number of folks from the CDC, from various health organizations to gain a better understanding of how we can make some significant decisions for our community when it comes to our water. I've appreciated the dialogue that we've already had, and I've appreciated the invitations that I've had as well. One thing I would ask, though, is when it comes to my past health and my cancer experience, I'd rather
We
that
had
not
no
be brought up.
idea, guaranteed. I'm not going to take that, that's not true.
Mr. Sorensen?
I would say, I don't know, I didn't feel that there was any kind of personal attack there because the question is a serious question. I'm sorry that he took it personally because it's a serious issue because people care about it. We have to do our research though. I was at the lunch with Dr. Khanna, and I appreciate y'all setting that up, and I appreciated the education. I appreciated council members for coming there. To hear what he had to say, I just feel like I'm not an expert on it. I need to learn. I need to know exactly what I'm making a decision on. And as mayor, it's very important that citizens like yourself, groups like the Fluoride-Free San Marcos Water, continue to do your work because it's important work. And I appreciate y'all being here and asking that question to all the candidates.
Mr. Montgomery?
Well, the fluoridation of the water addresses the second pillar of our city charter, which I will read real quick, is the goals of the city government is to safeguard the health, safety, and welfare of the city's residents, provide for a high quality of life, including but not limited to. You guys are all very familiar with neighborhood integrity and what the current action of our mayor has been on that, favoring those spot zoning changes. Number two is to provide a clean and abundant water supply. And I'm well versed on the fluoridation of water, and that I am totally against it. If I was elected or am elected as mayor, that would be one initiative that I would address and try to strengthen these pillars that are being weakened by greed.
Thank you. Any more questions? We thank the candidates for mayor, and I want to thank all of the candidates that came tonight and participated. And I want to thank the audience